Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup Stage 1 Week 3 preview. Now, I am still slightly ill, but better than I was, although I can't hear properly. So, it doesn't really affect me making these videos, but it affects me playing the bloody game. Anyway, we have a raft of fixtures to look at. One quick note for the Boston Uprising is that Fusions is now available to play for this week, which is very, very good for them. But, without further ado, should we get into it? So, on Friday, March the 1st, we have, at midnight, or 1 AM in Europe, yes, I can still do the times, Washington Justice taking on the Philadelphia Fusion. And that should be a Philly Fusion win. I mean, if Fusion lose that, then that's pretty bloody poor if you ask me. I mean, London were able to beat Washington. Yeah, once they changed profit on Zarya. I can't see past Fusion for the win here. At 1:30 GMT or 2:30 in Europe, you have the Seoul Dynasty take on the Boston Uprising. Now this will be quite interesting. With Fusions available for Boston, they'll be much stronger than they were against Shanghai last week. And Seoul are a bit of a hit or miss right now. I think I'll edge Seoul for it though. They're starting to click slightly in my opinion, and they have got a very tough match later on in the week. So yeah, Seoul have to get a win against Boston this week, because I don't think they'll beat the other team they're up against. After that, 3 AM or 4 AM in Europe, we have the Florida Mayhem take on the Guangzhou Charge. This is extremely difficult to call. And that goes for all the games throughout the league right now. It's extremely difficult to call. A lot of teams are beating each other when they shouldn't be beating them, or the rankings say they shouldn't be beating them, or these shouldn't be beating these, and it's all going round in circles, and we don't really know. But there's a few that's pulling ahead now, but a lot of teams are pulling out some surprises. Anyway, back to it. Florida, Guangzhou. Depends what Florida turns up, to be quite honest, and whether they can cope with the really aggressive style of Guangzhou Charge. I would go Guangzhou here. I think their aggressive style, now they're reining it in slightly, is working. At 4:30 we have, or 5:30 in Europe, we have the SF Shock against Hangzhou Spark. Hangzhou had a bad week last week after their really good week 1. Oh, and it's a tough start for week 3. San Francisco need to bounce back after the loss to Vancouver, which is tighter than it might seem by the scoreline. I'd have to go for Shock to win that one, but Hangzhou need to prove that they haven't really lost momentum. They need to bounce back, and if Hangzhou win now, that would be massive, but I don't see it happening. Right, next batch of fixtures. Saturday, March the 2nd. God, we really are in March already. Well, we're not right now, but we will be. Midnight, or 1 AM in Europe, we have the LA Gladiators taking on the London Spitfire. Now this has quite major implications. It's Spitfire's only game of the week. It's Gladiators' first game of the week out of 2. Spitfire, I think you have to call this a must win for both teams. More so for Gladiators. No, more so for London. Because London are on a 2-2 record right now. And Gladiators, I think, are on a 1-2 record. But Gladiators play Hangzhou later on in the week. So if Gladiators were to lose this one and then win against Hangzhou, it wouldn't be emergency buttons for stage playoffs. But if London lose and go to a 2-3 record, I know that London, I think London have to play Atlanta. Oh god, who do London have to play for the rest of the stage? Atlanta and Seoul. So by no means easy games, especially in this meta, and they also have to play Shanghai. No, it's just Shanghai. I thought I had to play Atlanta. Oh, it's just Shanghai and Seoul. So Shanghai with a bounce back. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's pretty much a must-win game for Spitfire. And a big test of this new found roster lineup with guard on Brigitte and Prophet Zarya. It'll be a very big test of that. Will Prophet be able to outdo Shurfall and Zarya? I don't know. Shurfall's look very, very solid, but so is Prophet. So one thing we did see early on from London Spitfire was the fact that guard did get caught out of position on the Brigitte a bit and was the first to fall at times. That can happen, but I expect Spitfire to have nailed that down between weeks. So 1:30 in the morning or 2:30 in Europe, we have the Toronto Defiant taking on the New York Excelsior. New York Excelsior still unbeaten. Toronto looking good, and I think they could make this tight, but I have to back NYXL here. At 3 AM or 4 AM in Europe, we have the Vancouver Titans, another unbeaten team, versus Los Angeles Valiant, the only team without a win. No, that's wrong, because Washington Justice don't have a win either. Valiant. It's not really going your way in terms of this fixture schedule, is it? I have to go for Vancouver here. Vancouver looked so good against Shock. I mean, it was close, right? But what won it for Vancouver was just their synergy, their communication, and their usage of ults, right? They had that synergy perfect so that they got those ults and placed them perfectly and then synergized them together with like Diva Bombs, the grab, and then once out a grab, a shatter so that it would hit, the Diva Bomb would hit, or boops, or stuff like that. The synergy was so good. That's what saw them through against Shock. So I would have to go for Vancouver here. I would even say that perhaps Vancouver have an edge over Excelsior right now. And that's brave, but that could change in coming metas, mind. Especially with the new hero that's out. 4:30 or 5:30 in Europe, we have the Shanghai Dragons finally with a win on the board versus the Chengdu Hunters. Now, this is interesting because this is the game out of the entire stage I had Shanghai down to win. And I'm not sure now. It depends how Shanghai respond to their win over Boston. They might really surge forward and win both games this week. And if they do, that would be massive. Especially as that would propel them into stage playoff contention. Chengdu had this very chaotic style though, which has proved to create some surprise results. So, difficult one to call, but do you know what? I'm going to put some belief in Shanghai. Go on Shanghai, you can get it, but 5 maps surely. Right, the next batch of fixtures at 8 PM on Saturday. We have the Paris Eternal, another unbeaten team, taking on the Houston Outlaws. No, the Atlanta Reign. I was reading one down. I apologise. This will be an interesting match. The pack that's pulling away right now is regarded as NYXL, for just this stage, NYXL, Vancouver and Paris. Looking like the best 3 teams on GOATS. Now, this is Atlanta's chance to become part of that group. They have to beat Paris though. Now, it depends on the map set, to be quite honest. If there are more opportunities for, oh my god, game 1 is Ilios. Oh god, if we would go on Ilios, well, we're probably going to see DeFrance Tourbillon again. Ilios Hollywood, Anubis and Route 66. Possibly, we could see Atlanta pull out a clutch win here. I'd still have to back Paris though, because they've just got such a good GOATS. They really have. I gotta go Paris, but I would like to see Atlanta win. Even though I'm from EU, I'd like to see Atlanta win. Although, good luck Cruz. Really liking Cruz at the moment. He's playing really well. One of the best Lucios in the league, if not the best. Next up at 9:30 or 10:30 in Europe, we have Florida Mayhem taking on the Houston Outlaws. Yes, the Houston Outlaws. I told you I read one down. Oh, Houston. Bad start, friends, isn't it? It's your only game of the week. I mean, you're pretty much out of the stage playoffs now. With a 4-3 record, I don't think you're going to get there. Which is the best case scenario. I think Florida will win that. Florida looked good adjusting against Philadelphia. And I don't think Houston can throw anything really surprising at them. The only thing Houston can do is throw Lynx's Widow at them, which has popped off on different games. Problem is you can't run that all the time, not in this meta. So it's not going to be Houston's stage. I don't think they'll win against Florida. Next stage, if we do head into this DPS heavy meta, especially if Batiste gets released for stage 2, which I would assume he would, it would give him enough time. And also the changes that are up on the PTR now and what have been on the PTR, I could see the meta changing. I hope. I pray. It could work into Houston's favour. 11 PM or midnight in Europe, we have the San Francisco Shurk taking on the Washington Justice. Oh, tough week, Washington. Tough week. Another 0-2 week, methinks. Shock should win this one. If they don't, then that is poor from Shock. They need to win those sorts of games if they want to be right up there. At midnight GMT or 1:30 in the morning, if you're in Europe, Shanghai Dragons in action again against the Dallas Fuel. Jane, you gonna take sympathy on Shanghai, or are you gonna rip them to shreds like you did Philadelphia? Anyway, I don't know. It depends. It depends if Shanghai come in with momentum. If they beat Chengdu, although I do see a glimmer of the Dallas Fuel that we should have seen last season at the moment. It's kind of getting there. They're a bit inconsistent. As Jane said in his interview after the Philadelphia match, they're gradually improving. They're gradually getting there. And I do see that. So it's difficult. It's Dallas's only game of the week, and if they want to reach the stage playoffs, they have to win against Shanghai. I'll go for a Dallas win, but it should be fairly close. If Shanghai 4-0 Dallas, that would be interesting. But Boston Uprising against the Toronto Defiant is the first of our next batch of fixtures at 8 PM on Sunday, or 9 PM in Europe. Boston with Fusions back makes a big difference here. If it was Axiom on main tank, I'd say Toronto win this hands down. I don't know. That's a difficult one to call. I'll go with Toronto, just because I think Toronto are looking good this stage. They're up in the playoff places at the moment. Yeah, I'll go with Toronto here. 9:30 PM or 10:30 in Europe, we have the Hangzhou Spark taking on the Los Angeles Gladiators. So this turns into a must-win for Gladiators if they lose to London Spitfire. Also, it turns into a must-win if Hangzhou lose to San Francisco. So it could be quite a tasty game, actually. It depends what teams we see, really. Hangzhou, if they can bring the Hangzhou back that we saw in week 1, it's quite possible that Hangzhou go 2-0 this week. If we see Hangzhou from last week, they will go 0-2, without a doubt. Especially, have they got to play Anubis? Oh god, they've got to play Anubis against Shock. They've lost Anubis. Their rotations on Anubis were dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. They lost their supports because they were in front of the enemy spawn. Because they got cut off because of their rotations. Oh god, they got to sort that out. I would back Gladiators here at this point, just based on Hangzhou from last week. It's too unpredictable right now to make perfectly accurate predictions. I think everyone will back that up. 11 PM or midnight in Europe, we have Los Angeles Valiant, still winless, probably still winless, versus the Guangzhou Charge. Valiant. It's always been very close, but no cigar, isn't it? Problem is, Guangzhou play this very aggressive style, and I see that winning out over the Valiant at the moment. Yeah, I've got to go Guangzhou here. I don't see Valiant turning that around, turning their fortunes around this week. They need a game like... They need like a Florida Mayhem game, or a Washington Justice game, or something like that, just to swing momentum in their favour. And then you could see them win a load in a row and get right back to where they should be. midnight, or 1:30 AM in Europe, at the last game of the week, possibly the best game of the week, we have New York Excelsior taking on the Seoul Dynasty. So this is a big teller for this new Seoul Dynasty lineup. They need to run Excelsior at least very close here. I don't think they're in a position to beat Excelsior right now. I don't think the synergy's quite there with a roster that's like... Excelsior have got a roster that have been together for ages right now, so I can't expect them to go around... I can't expect Seoul to go around beating that sort of really synergized roster. Same with Vancouver. But Seoul... I could see Seoul taking this to 5 maps. They've got to root... Someone's got to root out an Excelsior weakness here. Problem is, I don't know what that is. I really don't. Nene's looked good, very good on Zarya. Mano and Mecha have looked as good as ever. JNATHYN is JNATHYN. You know, all the players are doing exactly what they should be for Excelsior, and it's getting them the wins. And they're not having to play people like Sabiobi and Pine. Libero on the Brigitte is good. I like... You've got to back an Excelsior win here. But Seoul, I could see this going very close. And Seoul really making a game out of this. So I hope they do. Just purely for entertainment purposes. But, yeah, I have to go for an Excelsior win here. So, that... All those are your games for this week. I apologise, I am still a video. And I am getting over it. And hopefully later in the week I can bring out that analysis of the Shanghai game that I wanted to do yesterday. But I couldn't do it because I was too ill. But I want to do that. So look out for that hopefully around Friday or something. I'd like to do that. So I'll see if I can get it done. Yeah. So, I hope you enjoy this week's fixtures, because it should be a pivotal week in terms of Stage 1. We are at the halfway point, believe it or not. So, some of these games will completely rule teams out. If Valiant lose both games this week, or if Valiant lose one game this week, they're out of the stage playoffs. It's as simple as that. They won't make it. Same for Washington. Yeah. Wins need to be picked up. Gladiators, you need to pick up wins as well. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.